You know when you sometimes just want to draw from imagination, and sometimes you want to just change up your art style, and sometimes you want to open a brand new art supply? Well, today is the day that we make all of these things happen together in the same video. Hey magical sparks, welcome back to my channel. It's Sparkle, and today we are going to be unboxing a brand new art supply that was kindly sent to me from the company Arrtx. So without any further ado, let's get straight into this. So the star of today's video are the Arrtx 72 color acrylic paint markers, and the cool thing about these markers is that they come with 3 different nib replacements, so technically you can try out 3 different nib sizes with each marker, but more on that later. So now that we've unboxed everything, here is how the actual packaging looks. I love the pastel colors, they're so pretty, and on the back of the box we can see all the colors that we get in this set. And now, without any more delay, let's open it up and see exactly what we get inside. I always love this part because it feels so exciting. And opening it up, the very first thing we have is this swatch card. And I just want to say, I am so glad this swatch card actually fits inside the marker set, because that is super handy, because sometimes they don't, but this time it did. And next up, we've got this set of brush nib replacements, and also we've got a set of bullet nib replacements. And we'll be trying both of these out later on in the video. And finally, I present to you the markers! Okay, first of all, look at how well they're organized. They're actually not in a random order. Definitely have to appreciate that. And also they look so pretty. I'm so excited to try them out. And at this point, I spotted some metallic colors, and that got me so excited because I love metallic markers and I'm really excited to try them out specifically. And now let's go ahead and take a closer look at one of the markers. I love the design on these markers. I think it's so unique, just the pattern on it. It looks pretty, it looks aesthetic, it's colorful, and when you open up the marker, as you can see, it's not activated yet, which essentially just means that you're going to get a lot of satisfying close-up shots of me activating the markers. And on the back, we have instructions on how to activate the markers. It's only 3 simple steps, so it seems pretty straightforward to do. Now, just before we activate the markers, swatch them, and try using the different nib sizes, let's go ahead and watch this video on Arrtx's channel. So this video kind of just breaks everything down. It shows you how to activate the marker and things like that. But what I was mainly looking forward to seeing was just kind of like how to replace the nibs in specific, especially the brush nib, and this video kind of just broke it down in simple steps that was easy to understand. And just like that, in a matter of seconds, I knew exactly what to do and how to do it, and it was really simple. And then I was ready to get swatching, but just before that, we have to activate our markers first, so let's go ahead and do that. By the way, in case you were wondering, I found this video on Arrtx's YouTube channel, so it's there to check it out if you'd like to. And with that, let's skip to the good part. So I've got my swatch card ready, I've got an extra sheet of paper ready, and now I've got my gorgeous red metallic marker ready. And activating these markers was such an enjoyable experience because it was so easy and so quick. All I had to do was just shake the marker a couple of times, pop it on the paper, gently press it down for a couple of seconds at a time, and watch as the ink flowed out smoothly. And the thing is, I actually found this enjoyable because of how easy it was. Like, there are some different markers that I've tried in the past that were not fun to activate because they just took forever to come out, or the ink wouldn't flow out properly. So it would take a long time to activate just one marker, but with these ones, they were super easy and super quick. So because of that, when I was activating the markers, even though I had to activate 72 markers, it just didn't feel like 72. It kind of just felt like a fun thing I was doing, and somehow, by the time I knew it, 72 markers were activated. So that was pretty cool. Anyways, as I keep activating the markers, let's do a bit of a catch-up type of thing. So the first thing I want to say is I'm kind of sick. So if my voice sounds kind of tired or exhausted, it's because I probably shouldn't be doing a voiceover, yet I am. So that's why. And secondly, my desk kind of changes a bit in this video, and that's because I was doing a full deep cleaning of my entire art room, meaning I took everything out and reorganized it. So that's what's up with that. But yeah, the setup will get back to normal by the end of this video. And with that, we are completely done with activating all our markers, and now it's time for the satisfying process of swatching. And let's start it off with white as our very first color. Now, this swatching process was super fun because first of all, these markers glided, and I mean glided on the paper. Like, just look at them. But the fun doesn't stop just there. What made it even more satisfying was the fact that the way that this swatch card is organized directly corresponds with the way that the markers were organized inside the box. So because of that, I could just mindlessly pick up one marker after the next and just kind of swatch them without having to worry about like coordinating each color with the number or the code on the swatch card, because I knew it was already in order. And overall, it was just such a fun and easy experience, and just like that, I was done swatching by the time I knew it. And by the way, the last 3 colors on the swatch card here are a metallic silver, a metallic gold, and a metallic red. And just like that, I present to you the finished swatch card. What do you think? I'm personally really happy with the variety of colors. I love that there's also like a good balance between pastel colors and darker colors, also lots of grays, and of course we can't forget about the pretty metallics. And overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with all the colors in the set. And now, to make me even happier, I decided to reorganize my markers. See, there's some blue on the right, there's some on the left, there's some purple on the left, there's some purple on the right. But what I want is I want all the colors to be bunched together. Like all the purple should be together and all the blue should be together, and kind of like that. I tipped all the markers out and it felt so wrong but so right, which made no sense. But the good thing is now I can show you guys the setup of the box so you can see how the markers are organized. And as you can see, it's a pretty simple grid setup. And with that, it is now time to turn this chaotic mess into something that is beautiful and harmonious. Sometimes I wish that I did have a camera showing the reaction of my face, because as I was doing this, I was actually smiling because this was so much fun. I don't know why. I really enjoyed just categorizing the colors and then organizing them in the box. I enjoyed just putting them in and figuring out a setup. I went from dark colors at the top to the colors getting lighter as they come downwards, and then I went from purple, pink, yellow, orange to red, and then I realized that I didn't want red to be in the middle of the box, so I decided to move everything, all of my progress, over to the left side so that the red color could be on the very edge and the pattern could kind of go to like a blue and a green color in the middle. Now, it's possible that I may sound like I am overcomplicating this, but trust me, I'm not. When you're having fun, there's no such thing as overcomplicating it. It's just making it more fun for yourself, and that's exactly what I was doing. And just like that, we are almost done. Now it's time for the grays, the black, the white, some of the browns, and of course the metallic markers. And just like that, here is my brand new setup. What do you think? You know what? It was designed by me, it was made by me, and it's made for me. So of course, I love it. It's also going to make it a lot more easier for me when I pack up my markers when I finish drawing. But anyways, it is time to move on to the next part of our video, trying out these different nib attachments. So aside from the one that's already on the markers, we have 2 more to try out. So let's go ahead and grab 3 markers so we can test all of them side by side to see how they look and to see how they work. So I picked out these 3 markers and we're going to be starting off with the blue one. So I used a tissue paper to take off the nib, and then I went ahead and popped in our brush nib replacement. I shook the marker, with the cap on of course, and then used the cap to help me activate the marker. After pressing it down a couple of times, it became activated and then it was ready to use. And just like that, in a matter of seconds, our brush tip marker is prepared. And I just went ahead and kind of cleaned up the front part of it just to make sure that no ink leaked out, and now she's perfect. And now for the next marker, I picked out this green color, and we're doing the same thing. We're taking our nib out using a tissue paper and then popping in our new one, except this time with this nib, we can actually activate it by pressing it down on the paper. And this was also super quick and super easy as well. And just like that, our second marker is also ready to use. And as for the third marker, which is the purple one, we don't have to do much since it's already ready. So with that, let's go ahead and swatch these to see how they look on paper. Starting off with the purple one, which is the nib that all the markers in the set come with, this is how it looks. Next up, we've got our green one, which I believe is slightly finer. And here's how that one looks as well. And finally, we have the brush tip, which is my favorite out of all of these because of how flexible it is. There's just something about this brush tip size. It's not too big and it's not too small. It's not too hard, but it's not too soft. It's like so flexible and so perfect. It's especially great for writing and calligraphy in my opinion. So with that in mind, let's do some hand lettering with all 3 of these markers. And just look at the brush tip. I mean, look at how pretty it is. It is gliding on the paper. It's so easy to use, and sometimes there are certain marker brush tips where the brush tips kind of just fray a lot, or they kind of end up bending if you press too hard and they can't bounce back. But with these markers, they bounced back pretty well. Even though I did press them quite hard when I was going downwards, they bounced back well and they worked really well as well. And as you can see, I was having so much fun that I just could not stop myself. I just kept on going and going and going and going until I stopped. And here's how the final thing turned out. It's not much, but it took me just like a minute or 2 to make, so I think it turned out pretty cute. I also love the color palette. I think it's really pretty and it's giving like mermaid vibes, which is perfect for mermaid. And I was having a little too much fun, so I tried doing another marker. This time we have a purple marker, and this one was also so nice to use. The brush tip is just so good. Like, I would give it a 10 out of 10, like 5 stars, 10 out of 10 rating, A+. The brush tip was just so perfect in every sense. And this is not me trying to be nice or polite. This is like genuinely what I think about these brush tips, because both of the markers that I used with the brush tip attachment, the blue and the purple, were just such a fun experience. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but like I could not stop writing. It was that fun. So yeah. It's true, I do feel passionate about these and about hand lettering because it's just so satisfying. And these markers were perfect for hand lettering in my opinion. There was a point where I forgot I was filming, and if I could have, I would have probably just gone ahead and done a bunch of hand lettering and stuff for this video. But no, I want to draw with these markers and see how they work for a drawing. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make a drawing. So drawing. What do we need to draw? Well, I suppose we need some paper, maybe a pencil, an eraser, needed eraser, my hands, oh yeah, sure. And now let's get to drawing. So actually, for this drawing, I really wanted to draw an animal. So recently, I've been drawing a lot of animals in my sketchbook just for fun. Here we have an elephant, here we have a lion, this one I love so much. And over here we have just some random piglets. I just wanted to draw piglets so randomly, so we have 1 pig and 3 piglets here, and today I want to go ahead and draw a piglet. So for these previous sketches I used references, right? But today I really want to draw from imagination because I feel like I haven't done that in quite a while, like drawing purely from imagination. So that's the goal for today, and let's see how it goes. So I did a quick concept sketch on Procreate, and that kind of gave me an idea of what I want, but it was really rough and it didn't really make that much sense. So we're really just gonna figure it out together today on the paper and just kind of make it make sense as we go. I wanted to draw a girl sitting down on the grass with one hand on her leg and one hand on the head of a piglet also sitting next to her. Now I wanted to have the piglet sleeping next to her initially, like kind of like sleeping on her foot, but I couldn't figure out the pose for that, so I ended up making the piglet sit. Even then, I don't think it looks as good as it could have looked if I used a reference, but the goal for today, like I said, was to go reference free and to draw purely from imagination. And I remember, like, this is so random, but at the time of filming myself making this drawing, I was really debating on whether I wanted to get a bob cut, which is kind of what inspired me to give this character some short hair, kind of like a bob cut, and some bangs as well. I also wanted to give her kind of like a onesie type of outfit, except make it a dress, and I wanted her to be wearing a t-shirt on the inside with some nice puffy sleeves, nice loose puffy sleeves, and some stripes as well, because I don't think I've drawn stripes in a while. So overall, the goal for today was really just to push myself out of my comfort zone and to make art fun for myself by doing things that I haven't done in quite a while, drawing things that I haven't drawn in quite a while as well. I also decided to give our character freckles because I feel like it's been quite a while since I've done that, and I don't even know why. And for the piglet, I always do this when I draw animals. I always use my dog as reference, like the way I draw him, and I kind of just base animals off that. So this pig, in some sense, could have been my dog if I just changed the placement of the nose and the mouth, but I think it kind of looks cute though. I also decided to pop on a bow, and a last minute change that I made was to add a picnic mat. Now the problem with this was, since this wasn't in my thumbnail sketch, I don't know what color I'm gonna make the picnic mat for contrast, but I thought that's a problem for future me. I'll figure it out in the future. So I guess it's a problem for future me. And just like that, my sketch is complete. What do you think? At this point, it doesn't look like much, but I have really big plans for this drawing, so just remember how simple and basic this sketch looks, because by the end, you are going to be amazed. Anyways, now it's time to lighten our sketch with my brand new kneaded eraser. Now this one looks kind of light right now, but trust me, as we keep on using it, it's gonna get darker and darker. So lightening my sketch, and the next thing I want to do is grab out my swatch card so I can decide what colors I want to use for the skin. I was looking at a couple of colors, then I decided which one I wanted and went straight for it. And now, based on my past experience with using acrylic markers, I already had a plan in mind. So usually when I use these markers on paper, not the specific brand or the specific type, but just acrylic markers in general, the first layer usually tends to be a little bit streaky. So what I did was I went ahead and applied the skin tone everywhere I wanted the skin to be, and then I went back in with a second coat. And during the second coat, I also added in the color that I wanted to use for shading, and I used a brush to kind of blend it out. And in that way, I was able to get like a really nice smooth skin tone that also looked blended and had some shading to it as well. And this technique is super simple. All you have to do is add your shading color and your base color really close to each other and just use a brush to blend it out, and it looks so good and so blended. I had never even considered using an actual paintbrush with my acrylic markers before, but I tried it for the first time this year, and ever since I tried it, I've kind of fallen in love with the technique because it's so easy and it gives you such smooth results all the time. Anyways, as we're coloring the skin, let me just take this chance to go ahead and talk about my thoughts on this marker set, the pros, cons, and things like that. And with that, let's get started. So, what do I think about this marker set? First of all, the packaging is so pretty. I love the colors. However, it's not extremely portable. Like if you're traveling, this packaging might not work. But you know, if you're just drawing at your desk, it's really easy and convenient because once you take the lid off, you can easily see all the markers in front of you. I also love the grid setup inside the box. It's such a great way to keep your markers organized as well. Other than that, the cap fits on the back of the marker, which is definitely a pro in my opinion. The markers themselves were super easy to activate, to use, to work with, and I love the color selection in the set. Obviously, there could have been more skin tones, but again, this is not a skin tone set, so we cannot just expect skin tones, although I would have definitely appreciated it. Aside from that, I definitely do love the fact that the swatch card actually fits inside the box, because with some marker sets, the swatch cards are so big that they don't fit with the marker set, but with this one, it is the perfect size, which makes it easy to carry around for when you want to draw with this marker set. Aside from that, I really love that there were different nib attachments included because it's just so handy. Like you can transform your marker from a bullet nib marker to a brush tip marker in just a matter of seconds. It's such an easy process and it's just overall so convenient. Like definitely have to appreciate them for that. And one more thing, I really loved the design on the actual barrel of the markers. Like the design you can see right now with the blue and the yellow, I think it just looks so fun and pretty. And there's also the same design on the packaging, like the front of the box. And it just looks really cute. It makes the markers look unique and special instead of just having like a basic black marker or basic white marker. The fact that it does have a design is something that I kind of like, you know, it adds a fun touch to things. And yeah, I think that's about it. Those are all my thoughts on these markers. I love them. I'll definitely be using them a lot in the future. And by the way, Arrtx has provided me with some links if you'd like to check out the markers and also some discount code information, and all of that will be in the description of this video. So of course, feel free to check it out if you'd like to. And also, thank you so much Arrtx for sending me this art supply to try out. I really had a fun time using it and it was just such a fun experience to activate the markers and to use them. The brush nib especially was so good, and yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Oh wait, I just realized I forgot to mention something. One more thing that I like about this marker set is just how opaque the white marker is, and you'll see that throughout this video because I do use white quite a bit here and there. And as you can see on the stripes of the character's outfit and on her hairband, the white marker shows up so well. I'll also use it later on in the drawing to add a bunch of sparkles everywhere, and it just looks so bright, like it didn't really need a second coat. It was optional, but honestly not required, I think. And also just one more thing, I haven't tried this out myself, but apparently these markers work really well on different surfaces, so for more information feel free to check them out on Arrtx's website. And now let's move on to coloring our character's boots. So this is kind of random, but for some reason, as I was working on this drawing, up till here, everything went so good, and then suddenly, for some reason, and I don't know why, I randomly became so indecisive about things. Like, I colored in her dress with this blue color, and then for some reason, I didn't like it. So after I colored it in blue, I decided to change the color to something different. And even with the grass, I colored it in, I didn't like it that much, then I changed it, and it was just kind of a recurring theme. But listen to this, here's the good thing, I was using acrylic paint markers, okay? Like, let's just think about this exact same situation, but with alcohol-based markers, or watercolors. The thing is, once you go dark, it is really hard to go back to being light. Like, I might have just had to restart this entire drawing. But since I'm using acrylic paint markers, which acts basically like acrylic paint to some extent, there was nobody stopping me. I could layer on colors as much as I wanted and change the color of anything at any given point in time. And just like that, I had the power of changing colors and adjusting my drawing to my will at any point in time, right at the grip of my fingers. Now, I think everyone knows, it's a really common saying, at least if you've watched Spider-Man, and that is, with great responsibility comes... Wait, no, hold on. I thought I knew what I was saying, turns out I don't. With great power comes great responsibility. But today I was power crazy because I kept on changing my mind way too much. But yeah, again, like I said, acrylic paint markers, we can work with it, we can do whatever we want with them. And another pro that I forgot to mention before is that since these are acrylic paint markers, it saves you the time of having to set up acrylics and get your paints out, your water, your paintbrushes, tissue paper, cloth, and stuff like that, because these markers can be ready to use by just opening the lid of a box. Also, check out the shading on this dress. I'm so proud of how this turned out. It was kind of just a trust the process type of thing, but it looks so cool. Like, you can actually see the movement of the dress, and I just love how it looks. By the way, I know this is a longer video than usual, but if you've made it this far without skipping or fast forwarding, you are truly so incredible. Like, you're a champion. And if you'd like to let me know that you made it this far, feel free to comment this emoji down below. Thank you so much, you are amazing. And now back to our drawing. It was at this point that I decided that the grass looked a little too bright for my liking, so to desaturate it, I had an idea. I thought about adding this light blue color to the grass and using my brush to kind of blend it out. Not completely, but just so that you can still see the green, but it's kind of like overlaid with the desaturated blue to make it look a little more muted and just perfect, which is exactly what I wanted. And I really love how these markers kind of help me to think outside the box and try new techniques that I never would have thought of trying otherwise. And overall, it was just such a fun experience because it got me constantly thinking about creative things I could do. Also, for the picnic mat, I thought about making it grey, but once I was finished, it looked like the character was sitting on a road with strawberries and it made no sense. So instead, I decided to go with this nice hot pink color, and then I decided to color in the sky with a pretty light purple lavender color to kind of make it look like she's in a magical place, because nothing screams magic to me more than a purple sky. And now, do you remember how I said at the start of the video that I kind of wanted to change my art style? Well, I'm not changing the way I draw, but rather the way I add line art. That's the aspect I really wanted to change today. So instead of going with super dark black line art, my goal for today was to avoid line art as much as possible, but only add very subtle, gentle, soft line art to some places to create contrast using some colored pencils. So that's the idea that I want to go with for today. So once we finish up doing our coloring with the acrylic markers, we'll be doing that next. So now that I've managed to color in everything on this piece of paper, it's time to go ahead and add in some finishing touches. For example, in the grass, I decided to add a bunch of flowers in different shapes, colors, sizes, and things like that to make it look nice and busy. And now something that kind of just happened without planning was that this drawing ended up having a really kind of pink and purple color palette, which was so unintentional because that was not the idea that I had in mind. I wanted to add like a bunch of rainbow flowers in the grass, and initially my plan was to make the sky blue and to not have a picnic mat, so that means that the character would be sitting on flowers and grass, but I guess everything just kind of went in a different direction. But I'm not complaining because I kind of like how this looks. It's just so magical and just unique, kind of like a fantasy type of scene. And now to go ahead and wrap up the coloring process, let's go ahead and add some details to the sky and move on to the next part. So for the sky, I decided to add some white clouds, not a lot, just 3. I went ahead and outlined them with the white marker and added 1 coat, waited for it to dry, and then went back in with a 2nd coat to make it nice and opaque. And then I had an idea to add a 2nd cloud color, just underneath the first ones. So I used this light pink color and I wasn't sure how it was gonna look because it looks so different when it's wet compared to when it's dried, but in the end I think it turned out looking kind of nice. I like that it kind of gives the illusion of like a shadow and also adds some visual interest. And then to fill up the space next to the character, I added a butterfly. I also added a sun in the top right corner. And then I added some white lines coming out of the clouds just to make them more fun, you know, to make them more illustrative and stylized and cartoony. And then I did the same thing with the pink clouds as well, except it's just a little more subtle. It's not that evident as it is with the white one. And then I also added some highlights to the butterfly. And this is the part where I decided to add a bunch of sparkles everywhere. At first, I was a little bit worried about how it might look, but then I remembered that if I hated it, I can obviously just color over them with purple, so we're all good either way. And the good thing is, it ended up looking amazing! The sparkles just made everything 10 times more magical. And honestly, when can you ever have too much sparkles? Like, is that even a thing? And just like that, we are done with the coloring process. So here's how our drawing looks with only the acrylic paint pen on top. And now it's time to take it up a notch using some colored pencils. Specifically this set of Arrtx colored pencils. So I have had these pencils for a long time and they work so well, and today we're going to be using them to add some slight outlines here and there to my drawing, but of course nothing too major. And it's actually kind of inspired me a bit to try out a line artless style. Like, is that a thing? Like a line artless? Outlineless? Okay, basically just try out a drawing style that includes 0 line art, but the colors create contrast in themselves and just make the drawing look good. That would be fun to try out, maybe in a future video, who knows? Would you be interested in seeing me try something like that? Let me know in the comments. Anyhow, back to our drawing. So I did use pencil everywhere, except for the eyes, which was the only place where I used a black pen to outline and add some details. And now we are signing off this drawing, and I think you all know what it means, but I'm here to tell you that you might be wrong, because it is not time for the grand reveal just yet, but we're almost there. Now, just before the grand reveal, here is a preview of how our drawing is looking. This is acrylic paint markers with colored pencil on top and some black outlines for the eyes. And here's how it's looking. I think it looks so good. The only thing that's concerning me is the warping of the paper. It doesn't look that nice. So to fix that, I decided to laminate this drawing, and I don't know how it's gonna look because I have never laminated a drawing that I used acrylic paint pens on. So let's give it a go and see how it turns out. I was a little nervous at first, but it worked amazingly. Now the paper is nice and smooth and flat, and it has a gorgeous shine to it. It's like I kind of framed this drawing without even framing it, and I love it so much. So with that, I present to you the final drawing. This is the grand reveal. Voila! What do you think? I love how it turned out. I am honestly so happy because the fact that I just came up with all of this from my imagination, and the fact that even after laminating you can still see all the pencil and marker textures, it just makes me so happy. I'm genuinely so obsessed with how this drawing turned out. I'm really proud of it, and it's much better than I could have expected. I had a great time figuring out the pose and planning out the concept. I really enjoyed coloring everything in, trying a bunch of different techniques and kind of thinking outside the box. Not just that, but also just the fun of being indecisive yet having control over the colors and trusting the process to see how this turns out. I'm really happy with how it looks, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching all this way. It really means a lot to me. And also thank you so much to Arrtx for sending me this marker set to try out. I had a great time using it and I could not have made this drawing without it. And just to repeat again for anyone who's interested, there will be links to this product in the description down below, as well as information about discount codes and things from Arrtx also mentioned in the description. So feel free to check it out if you'd like to. Also, I'm gonna need your guys' suggestions please for names, because I don't know what to name these characters. I'm looking at the piglet and all I can think is piglet, but I need some ideas, so let me know your ideas in the comments down below. Anyways, magical sparks, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and watching this drawing come together, and I hope you all have a fabulous day and stay awesome as always. See you in the next one.